Do you know what actually occurred to you? No. Or are you able to discuss what transpired? I don't know what actually happened to me, but I can talk about it. Yes. I just knew that I attended a friend's birthday celebration. I threw a birthday celebration for a friend. Hi there. You believed it to be a friend. We won't even discuss that, though. Well, I went home as usual. Tamar, part of the issue with this entire situation is that I felt at ease with the relationship between you and Mendeecees in front of me. Alright. Every time we got together at a restaurant, you were sitting on top of him with your booty shorts and the music video short. I felt rather uneasy about that, so let's tell it all if we decide to. People have been unsure of who to believe ever since Tamar and Funky Dineva began disparaging one another. Tamar claimed that she nearly died and needed surgery, implying that Funky was involved. Funky, meanwhile, is disputing everything and cautioning Tamar against talking about him if she doesn't want the internet being aware of what actually happened. Nevertheless, as Tamar always does, she went out once again to gain support and disparage Funky, because she wanted some influence. He came to put an end to her, just as Funky had threatened. Additionally, he brought receipts, so what Funky Dineva is saying is completely nonsensical. Because it appears that Mendeecees is directly responsible for Tamar's mishap, according to Funky. Yes, Yendi's spouse. Well, I don't really know him at all. Alright. You understand what I mean, to be honest. He's not like my friend, but we're still cool. Do you understand what I mean? That isn't the case. And only a few months ago, he was cast in a movie. Tamar said she didn't remember what had happened, or who had done it, and she woke up in a pool of blood with a few missing teeth. Because Funky Dineva was with her the night before his birthday celebration, people speculated that he might have done something to her. People began pulling him, accusing Funky Dineva of being a horrible buddy and a woman beater. Tamar always enjoys attention, whether it be good or bad. So when he asked her to deal with it and urge people to stop bothering him, she refused. She believes that negative press doesn't exist. In defense of himself, Funky said he had no idea what had transpired to the woman that evening. He stated unequivocally that he was not involved, that he had no idea what had happened, and that he should not be held responsible for anything. I want to know what the devil is going on. I also want to know what's happening. Alright, the woman claimed to have nearly died on the internet. Listen now. I'll just go ahead and finish this. Alright. I have no idea what happened to the woman before we even reach the top of the episode. Alright, for those of you who are aware, I'm referring to Tamar Braxton. I have no idea what became of the woman. However, Funky was essentially being treated by Tamar as a hiccup in her media career. She insisted that she didn't need him for anything and continued to make fun of him while admitting that she did experience something that evening, and that whatever it was, she needed surgery. However, Funky's name was never cleared by her. She never advised others to stop bothering him. She pretended to be a victim and allowed them to continue pulling him. Funky repeatedly cautioned her to speak up and defend him, because he wasn't going to back down from a confrontation if she didn't want everyone to know what kind of tea he actually had on her. Funky Dineva didn't do anything to me, guys, was all he wanted her to say when she returned to her stories. I was mistaken. I should have spoken up sooner. That was all she needed to do, and it could have been resolved on his end. However, it seems that Tamar wanted to call Funky's bluff, because perhaps she believed that he would give in and let her have her way. As a result, she continued to bring up the matter months after it had ceased to exist. She stopped by on the morning hustle with Laurel and brought up her accident once more. We didn't get out of the car and go upstairs with Tamar when we returned to her house, because after she and Mendeecees had kissing in the back of that goddamn car, I assumed they wanted to be up there in private. For that reason, when we were dropped off at Tamar's house, I didn't go upstairs. Instead, I got in my goddamn car and drove home, because you were sitting on his lap in that goddamn Uber and your asses were kissing. Alright, that made me uncomfortable. Now, Tamar didn't have to do this interview. She could have stayed home with her secrets and left the internet wondering. There were still unanswered questions regarding the entire incident. She talked about attending a friend's birthday party, throwing that friend a birthday party, and then returning home as usual. She didn't specifically name Funky Dineva, but we all knew who she was talking about. She also gave the impression that he was an ungrateful friend to whom she threw a party, only for him to turn around and hurt her in some way. Your lawyers are going to have a lot on their plates. I told you once, and I'm going to tell you again. I'm not one of these new to doing this, baby. I'm 14 years in, and I've been sued by some of the rest. Okay, check my lawsuit record. When asked what was going on between her and Mendy, she denied him so vehemently that you'd think they had just shot a project together, and that there was no personal relationship. I'm here to tell you, baby, that it will take more than a brief statement on a lawyer's letterhead claiming rumors about an inappropriate relationship to scare me. Did she really say that she didn't know Mendy was like that yet got him to do a music video with her? I've stayed in court with Sherry, Chris Stokes, XYZ Company, and the music company. Dropped. People were already cautioning Tamar that Funky wouldn't like the way she spoke about him, and that she shouldn't play victim when he pops off on her. When Funky learnt about that interview, it was enough to set him off, and child, he kept his word that he would drag Tamar through hell and back if she ever so much as breathed in his direction. He claimed that the reason he didn't follow Tamar back to her house was because she was already with a friend who appeared to be taking care of her. And that friend was none other than Mendeecees, Miss Yandy Smith's husband. Funky made it clear that he did not get out of the car and go upstairs with Tamar when they returned to her house because, after she and Mendy finished kissing in the back of that Uber, he assumed they wanted to be up there privately. For this reason, when they were dropped off at Tamar's house, he did not go upstairs. Instead, he got in his car and drove home, because Tamar was sitting on Mendeecees' lap and they were kissing, which made Funky uncomfortable. To your stories, and put Funky Diva didn't do anything to me, guys. I was sleeping. I should have said something earlier. That was all you had to do, and it could have been done on my end. Even right now, it could have been done. Apparently, Mendeecees and Tamar were together the entire night, but they kept their distance from one another so the cameras wouldn't catch them looking too comfortable with each other. However, everyone in the vicinity of the V12 knew that they were together. Once Tamar claimed she didn't know that man, but they continued making out the entire way to her house and eventually got together while Funky went home. This is where things start to get a little strange because, according to Funky, it wasn't just Tamar and Mendy who returned to her house. There was also a third guy, and this was the same guy that Tamar claimed found her unconscious. However, Funky put it bluntly, if anyone knows who happened and what happened to your teeth, it's Mendeecees and his best friend, because they were the ones who went upstairs with you. He doesn't know whether something freaky went wrong or what, but if anybody needs to be investigated on what happened to Tamar and her teeth, it's Mendy and his friend, because that's who went upstairs with her. At this point, only Mendeecees and the other guy can verify what actually happened, but one thing is certain, Funky claims he had nothing to do with it, because he wasn't even there. He went home, and Tamar knew that, but she still allowed people to blame him. The whole problem with the situation was that you don't get to go around and create media. Now, rumors are circulating that the three of them got freaky together and things went south, leaving Tamar injured. Storms that involve other people without their consent. Tamar claimed on the internet that her teeth fell out, and she didn't know what happened, and then it seems that she had someone make a video down in Miami lying about the whole thing. Funky pointed out that no one had the amount of mouth trauma that Tamar had that healed so quickly. The timeline doesn't add up, the story doesn't add up, and now the receipts don't add up. It appears that Tamar has now filed a lawsuit against Funky, and released a statement. She stated that the rumors affect not only her, but also the families involved, and that it has been hurtful to see what is being said about her online. She also made it clear that if the rumors continued, someone would have to take responsibility, and that we might see Tamar take Funky to court if he speaks about her again. However, if you know anything about Funky, you know that he is not letting this one go. After her statement was released, he came after Tamar once more and stated bluntly that she needs to do more than that if she wants to frighten him. He knew she would play it this way, so now he's going all the way back to the beginning. Funky reminded everyone that when the whole mouth thing first came to light, he said that the only reason Tamar dropped that music video so quickly was because people had seen her and Mendy together, and he wasn't going to say that at the time, but now he is. She needed to control the narrative before it got out of control. He directly addressed the allegation of an inappropriate relationship, asking Tamar to clarify whether it was appropriate or inappropriate for them to be sitting at Ruth's Chris while Mendeecees was rubbing between her thighs and between her dress. According to Funky, part of the issue with this entire situation was that he was never at ease with the relationship that Tamar and Mendy had in front of him, including during the music video shoot, when she was sitting on top of him in her booty shorts, and when they met up at restaurants. Funky asked Tamar if she was really going to sit up in his face with her three faces, and tell him that she and Mendeecees did not have a conversation at that table in Ruth's Chris about him putting out a statement about him and Yang Dandy not being together anymore. He said that Mendeecees had written a version of the letter on ChatGPT, and Tor began to laugh and told him, "No, you have to go back and rewrite it to kind of make it sound like it's you." Funky then talked about what transpired when Mendeecees was purportedly digging between her thighs. After that, Funky remarked, "Isn't he married?" and Tamar allegedly answered, "She can't. He's just her friend." Ruth got up and went to the toilet. According to Funky, Tamar allegedly said, "He isn't married. They're not married. They just do that for the show. They're not married." People claim that Yang Dandy and Mendeecees' marriage is fake, that it's only for the show, and that she's playing around with him behind Yendy's back. Perhaps this time, Tamar should just acknowledge that she picked a fight that she can't win, because Funky isn't scared of a lawsuit. In fact, he's waiting for her to bring it so he can finally expose her. Funky even conjectured that Tamar might have set him up, that she's a YouTuber and blogger. It's easy to say that Funky Dineva is lying, making things up, or trying to throw her under the bus, but the way he handled things with a sort of "I'm not putting up with this nonsense" attitude showed that he wasn't lying regardless of what people thought of him later. He came with specific details, specific locations, and specific conversations. That's not the behavior of someone who was people are also on Funky's side, because this isn't the first time Tamar has been caught playing around with someone's husband. The way Funky Dineva just read Tamar Braxton into oblivion is insane. Several people mentioned that this is the second time they've heard of her playing around with someone's husband, and they don't like it, especially because she acts like that's so above her. First, it was Jermaine Dupri's father, and now it's Mendeecees. Apparently Tawanda was Funky was right about something all along, which is why Tamar was so determined to make it seem like Funky was the bad guy. She had been sneaking around with Yendy's husband, and when the truth came out, she tried to divert attention by letting people blame Funky for her injuries, but Funky wasn't having it. He repeatedly warned her, saying, "Clear my name or I'm going to tell the truth," but she continued to throw shade. Tamar sent a cease and desist, to which Funky replied that it would take more than that to scare him. He's been in court with some of the best, so he's not new to this. If the term inappropriate relationship is what they're clinging to, then his saying the relationship was incredibly inappropriate. Tamar now has the option to take him to court and risk him disclosing even more receipts under oath, or she can ignore it and hope people forget. However, one thing is certain, Funky Dineva is not going to back down. He's not afraid of her lawyers, he's not afraid of her cease and desist letter, and he's not going to let her continue playing victim while his name is dragged through the mud for something he claims he had nothing to do with. The question now is, do you believe that Tamar and Mendy actually had something going on, or were Funky Dineva's eyes tricking him? Based on the receipts he's posting, it appears that Tamar was caught, and rather than taking responsibility, she attempted to paint Funky as the villain, but is not going quietly, and now the entire internet is watching to see what occurs.